Right, before we get started, I tried to do something a little bit different with this week's podcast, and although I think the chat is really good, and I think you're going to really enjoy it, the camera I put on the wrong settings, and it didn't quite do what it was meant to do. It was meant to be nice and stable, turned out to be really bumpy. I've tried to fix it, it looks weird. So basically, the podcast is still great, you're going to love the chat, but yeah, just a little heads up before you start. But the sound sounds good. Enjoy the podcast, is what I'm trying to say. Yay. Right, this is unconventional.
Just a bit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Purple Pig podcast, although might change the name of that, we'll get to that in a moment. But before we start, just a quick reminder, if you want to see these episodes a week or so sooner than usual, is it 10 days earlier than usual? Yeah. Sorry. You can do so by signing up to my Patreon, but obviously, as I always say, 10 days is nothing. So if you can wait, you can wait. Don't feel you have to. But if you want to support the channel, support the main channel, and you want to get these podcasts earlier, you can do so. And my guest this week...
It's me!
It's Charlie. You again.
Me again.
Right, so here's my theory. This is what's going on. This is the new thing. This is the new deal. I think that I'm going to change the name of the Purple Pig podcast. This podcast is no longer about the ideal pub. Although I do like that format, and if we ever have a guest on, we will return to said format. But...
we will.
I think that part of the appeal of these podcasts for me and for everyone is having like a reoccurring like arc to follow, and for me personally it makes it much easier for us to like film and sort it out. You know, at the moment I'm trying to film a couple of videos a week, do a couple of Instagram videos a week, I'm trying to stream 3 to 4 times a week. So in order for this to be sort of sustainable and manageable, I think it's easier to do this, and Charlie was more than happy to do that, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't mind being on a podcast.
So you are now, it's no longer the Purple Pig podcast.
It's me again.
It's you again. We could call it that. You again could be the name of a podcast. I think that works.
I think it works.
And I think it works because it's sort of coupley, like, oh, it's you again.
You're still here.
Yes, there you are.
What film is that from?
I think that's, I think I'm channeling Jennifer Saunders' character in Friends.
Right.
When the husband goes, I'm here, you know, and she goes, yes, there you are.
It's a little bit Gavin and Stacey as well, Dawn and Pete and Dawn.
It is a bit Pete and Dawn. The reason that Pete and Dawn are funny is because, one, everyone knows a couple a bit like that. Yeah. But two, every relationship has a bit of that in it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh my Christ.
Oh my Christ.
Right, so
John.
Is that the official name? You Again. The You Again podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the You Again podcast. The other thing that we're doing a bit weird today is, so we've just gone to visit your friends.
Yes.
For a lovely walk. A socially distanced walk. I feel like we have to specify that all the time.
Yeah, we all know what we're doing at the moment. We're all going for socially distanced walks and sitting in the cold in gardens and in public parks.
Which is exactly...
that's what we're doing, and that's what we did.
And that's exactly what we've done today, despite the weather being...
shocking.
Miserable.
My feet are wet.
My feet are soaking wet. And but we drove all the way over here because we had to plan this. You have to plan seeing people today. And we drove all the way over here, and it's in Cheshire.
Yes.
So we're now driving home. And I said to Charlie, shall we try and record an episode of the podcast whilst we're driving?
Sounds safe, doesn't it?
It sounds like a good idea.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
So we'll see if you're watching this, then it was a success.
Yeah.
If you're not watching this, well, I don't even need to say that. There's a good chance we're going to re-record this when we get in. It was it was just to see if it would work out, see if it was fun. It's weird seeing people at the moment, isn't it?
It's very strange seeing people at the moment.
I feel like I have to like psych myself up for doing something social.
Yeah, and it you know, you do really look forward to it. But it is tricky when you're there, because you don't quite know how people are going to be, if they're okay, you know, if you can dare step less than 2 meters away from them, or if that's going to be a big deal. So it is really tricky.
it's something that we're going to have to get our head around, though,
But it's
because
so
things are
nice.
opening up. We're getting closer. Like, the world is slowly
Yeah.
returning back to normal.
And that is so positive and so nice. It was so lovely to see our friends today.
But also, it feels like a big deal. We went
Yeah.
and saw someone for a walk.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was like a major weekend plan, and we're going to be exhausted tomorrow.
I feel like I've done enough socialising for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that we're going to have to get used to, is sort of, actually, you might be able to do 2 things at a weekend.
Oh,
That feels
God.
like too much already.
Don't push it.
The idea of doing 2 things at a weekend is already exhausting
Yeah.
me. What is the thing? The reason I think this is a very interesting subject is because we are coming out of it.
Yeah.
We are getting closer to sort of normality, and we're getting closer to regular life, and we're getting closer to being able to just not even think about the C word, the coronavirus. We're getting to the point where it's not even gonna come up in our day to day. It's slowly getting there.
Yeah.
So, or at least hopefully it is. It feels like it is. I don't want to get too carried away, because we thought we were going to get married last year twice.
Yay!
We're definitely going to this year.
Don't even.
What is the thing you're looking forward to the most? What's the first thing? What's the first thing? But I was going to say, what's the first thing you're going to do when lockdown ends? And
Get married.
I'm asking that because I tweeted it out. But what's the thing that you're looking forward to the most besides getting married? Because obviously I would put getting married at the top of my list.
I don't know. You've asked me that, and I've just come to a slightly
You've just come to a
complex
junction. This is the problem with trying to record the podcast whilst we're driving. Maybe
me
this
again.
isn't a good idea.
Ask me again. I'm on a straight road.
You're on a straight road, and you're on a straight road for the next 4.8 miles.
Right,
You're fine.
okay,
Right.
ask me again.
What is the what is the thing you're looking forward to doing the most besides getting married? Because obviously that would be both of our answers.
Hugging everyone.
Hugging.
Particularly grandparents and family members. I want to hug them, and I want to sit with them and have a cup of tea or a cocktail, either way.
Yeah.
And not feel weird about it.
Just
not feel like it's dangerous.
not feel like you're putting anyone at risk by giving them a hug. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that as well. And you know what? It will feel distinctly possible because grandparents have all been vaccinated.
Yeah, my grandparents are really well protected now. They've just had their 2nd vaccination. So yeah, just really want to be with them again, and with other family, and do like normal things. You know, like families always have like a summer barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to do that, and it'd be nice. And like my family's summer barbecues are madness. Like, there's always lots of singing, and you know, I've got 4 uncles. All hell breaks loose.
Your
It's great.
family barbecues are great, and that's another thing I'm quite looking forward to. Do you know, I was thinking about this. I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most, I think those big family get-togethers are always really nice. We've just got a brand new apartment.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having people like be able to come over and stay.
Host people.
Yeah, isn't that mad?
Yeah.
Like people are talking about how they can't wait to go clubbing, how they can't wait to go to sports games, how they can't wait to go see gigs, and how they can't wait to go and have live music. I can't wait to just have a friend over.
Yeah.
Which sounds sad, doesn't it? But I really just want to have a friend over.
Well, because the thing is, like, aside from in Australia, and we did host people in Australia. Like, we had people round to our apartment in Australia and cooked them dinner and had them stay over.
Yeah.
But we haven't done that in the UK ever in our relationship before.
No,
We've never
we
had
haven't.
our own place in the UK.
No.
So this is the first time, and we've not been allowed to have anyone around for dinner and show off our new place. Like, our friends and our family haven't even seen our apartment.
No, they haven't seen. And do you know what? Like, I don't want to brag too much, but we do amazing pizzas.
Yes.
And not only that, we have got a cracking chicken wing recipe as well.
We do.
And I just want to have friends over and have wings and pizzas.
I want to show off. I actually want to show off. I want to show off our apartment and our cooking and our hosting skills, because they are top notch.
They are top notch. I think we'll be able to do that soon. I actually put this out on Twitter. I asked Twitter earlier what they are looking forward to the most. So I was going to read some of those answers out, and you could sort of rank them. Tell me what you make of those answers, how good you think they are.
Yeah.
So, first one is Tim.
Yeah.
Who definitely watches these podcasts.
Tim of the Bellani.
Tim of the Blarney variety,
Right.
who says, see family and go directly and the bloody pub. I'm not, the thing doesn't make sense. So let's,
Directly to the pub.
and that's not what it says, but let's say that that's
Yeah.
what he's saying.
That's a solid answer.
Yeah, I think,
That's a solid, like, 10 out of 10 answer. See family and get to the pub.
isn't going to the pub such a simple
Oh,
pleasure?
it really is.
I'm glad that that's the sort of British response
Yeah.
that's there. DJ Uchu has said, sit and twiddle my thumbs.
Yeah, that'd be back to normal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that actually there is something in that.
Yeah.
In that it's raining. I don't know how this is going to sound on the podcast.
I don't know.
This might be a terrible idea. Like
Well-
engine noise, rain.
It's up to you whether we carry on.
We're going on. We're going on. This is an experiment in
Okay.
for the first ever episode of the You Again
Yeah,
podcast.
because you can't even see like levels on the mic or anything, can you? You
No.
should go through the setup as well.
Right, so actually that's a very good point. I am using a GoPro
GoPro Hero 9.
with a mod attachment, so I don't know if you can see yourself there. I won't know because I'll have to check on the edit. But yeah, that's that's the setup. That's not normal, is it? Right. Yeah, I think going to the pub. I think a lot of people are just like desperate to go to the pub, sit and twiddle thumbs. I
very
think there's going to be
British
quite a
again.
few people that actually just don't know what to do with themselves. I think that comes from not knowing what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
Stevie White
Mm.
of Happy Hour fame said, stay in and avoid human interaction.
Oh, Stevie is a man after my own heart. Yeah.
This lockdown has clearly not been a problem for him. Not only that is the most liked response by quite a long way. Now, I know that Stevie White has obviously got a lot of followers, but even so, people resonated with that
Yeah.
answer. At least 38 people resonated with that answer. So, yeah, that's fair. Jag says, go to a show, any music will do.
Yeah, that is another solid response because we managed. Did we go to a gig? It wasn't last summer, was it? It was the summer before.
We went to a gig in the summer.
And it was
Last gig
so
we went
good.
to.
It
We
was
went to
Block
2 gigs in
Party.
2019. We went to
Yeah.
Muse and we went to Block
And I'm
Party.
so glad we went to them now because we love our gigs and
We do.
love our festivals and I think we would have gone to a festival this summer.
Well,
if
we
we
were
got the
hoping to go, even though we didn't get tickets to that sort of that mega show, the Green Day,
Oh yeah, Green Day,
Weezer,
Fall Out Boy.
Boy.
Oh, that is like a perfect gig.
I'm still going to try and get to go to that. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's still going to even be going ahead, but I would like to go to that. Here, JTTV said, give it a month for the crowds to die down.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty mad out there, I think. But to be honest, I think our way around that is I think we've also really missed going out for dinner, like just going out to a restaurant.
Yeah,
or
I
out
really
to a
have.
pub. So I think we'll start doing that sort of midweek. Like just have like
Mm.
a treat night midweek, so it's not quite so busy at the weekend.
So the hairdresser's open again this week. Tomorrow. They open again
Yeah,
tomorrow. And I'm hoping to like get my hair cut. And the barbers don't take bookings, so I'm hoping to just go on like Tuesday morning, in the hope that
Yeah.
no one normally would be there at that sort of time. That's my hope.
Yeah.
But that was also popular because Bad Company Sarge also said, I'm going to give it so many months. What does it look like these days, basically?
Yeah.
Felix said, want to go to a football match so bad, I got tickets for the Euros.
That sounds fun. Obviously not my bag. Football. But I can understand why that would be exciting.
Yeah?
Especially if that's something, because I know a lot of people do like go to the football like every week. Like it's a proper part of their life.
There is a good chance that one could actually happen. I think.
The Euros will happen.
Because the Euros are due to go ahead, basically.
Yeah.
And they are happening in the UK, and we are. I mean, the Spurs Man City League Cup final is happening. When is that happening? 2 weekends time from now, and I'm reasonably sure that there's fans going to that game. Not a full
Yeah.
stadium, so there is a good chance. I am just excited for there to be fans at the football. You don't really watch football, do you? But you sort of watch when I'm watching.
I do watch when you're watching. But
And it is weird watching football I find it very weird watching football without the crowd, without that immediate response of a crowd being like either jubilant for something, for a goal or something, or reacting angrily to something. Just miss that crowd.
Like the fake responses they put on, like, they're trying really hard, and it does work a bit, but realistically, it's a no. It's a no from me.
I want to hear like the really like aggressive football chants, which they're definitely not going to play. Like, you're shit and you know you are, and things like that, because you do hear those in the background on TV, but they never address it. But they're not going to play that.
I tell you what I will miss from the silent stadiums is the players swearing profusely at each other.
Yeah, and being able to hear it quite clearly.
Hearing that,
it's also weird to hear like how unintelligent some of the things that they're shouting to each other is.
Yeah. Like, there's no tactics there. They're just yelling at each other.
They're shouting the same things that you would hear down the park, like, come on boys!
Yeah.
Focus!
Yeah, there's nothing special about what they're shouting.
Yeah.
They're just blokes kicking a ball around.
It was a bit disappointing. It was like, oh, you're really talented, but your patter is crap. You're coming off here.
Okay. It didn't look like it.
Once again, this might not. If you're watching this, if you're watching this, then this is very much a test. Let us know how it went. Do you want us to drive around more? Probably not.
I'm not just going to drive around to do a podcast.
I have to be completely honest. This was because we saw a gap of time of an hour, and we thought actually it might be quite nice.
Let's be super productive.
We thought like this is like a bit a way of being super efficient, but it's not going to be super efficient if we have to re-record this when we get home.
No.
And we've blasted through all of our talking points, so we're going to have to find something else to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're keeping left here, honey.
But not really left.
But not really left.
Middle left.
Middle left. Fucking hell. The last podcast we did, we were looking up questions that you should do for your first date.
Yes.
And we were sharing some like first date stories, and we're sharing some like embarrassing moments, and we're sharing like intimate details that you might ask or want to find out from someone on a first date.
Yeah.
Now that has prompted a brilliant response to the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to share it with you, and I wanted to get your analysis on this. So it's from John.
Yeah.
Who said, first date facts. I went on my first date with my now fiance back in 2016. The day before I flew to France to watch Wales in the Euros. Mm-hmm. You understand that so far, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll wait a moment because there's a lot of lorries. This is a bad idea.
No, we're all good.
We're all good. We're in the clear.
Keep going, right?
This lorry here that you're passing now, driving like a maniac. Right. I went on my first date with my now fiance back in 2016, the day before I flew to France to watch Wales in the Euros.
Right.
Date went well, so we arranged a second as soon as I got back. Wales somehow did so well in the tournament that I kept putting off my return. Ended up in France for a month, and my non-football understanding fiance, assuming I'm not interested and not talking to me, grovelling texts, gifts, and her dad explaining how the Euros work it took to get her back. I thought that was a brilliant story.
Yeah, that is a good story.
Would you, if I'd have said to you, this was great, let's have another date as soon as I get back from France, but then I didn't get back to you because then I didn't message you because I was still in France.
Because basically what it sounds like is you had a good date and then actually you were terrified and fled the country.
Yeah.
Is actually how it comes across.
I will say that although John's situation I think is completely understandable, because he wasn't trying to fob off, he was holding up his end of the deal. He was actually saying, we will meet as soon as I get back from France. Where I think he failed.
Texts? Like, oh yeah, I'm not back from France yet. I'm still not back from France. Another week later. No, I'm not back. Come on.
So do you think there were... I'm keeping that in. I am keeping that in.
Oh,
this is such a good idea.
Horror. That's really tickled me.
I think I might have to put this out just so people can see what we were trying to do.
We're a super couple that are super productive.
Look at this. What I was going to say is, you're assuming that there were texts from him.
Well,
saying, I'm
yes.
so sorry, Wales are still in it, I've not come back from France
Yes.
yet. I think what John has fucked up with here is, I don't think he sent those texts. Because if he'd have said, look, I really want to go on another date,
yeah.
I'm still in France, because the date went well, so was there no messaging back and forth in that time?
That is possibly what happened, and that, yeah.
Or do you not message that much between dates when you don't know the person that well?
If you've been on just one date, you don't want to come across as really needy.
No.
So how much are you talking in between that first date and the second date?
So do you think that's what happens?
I've only ever been on a first date twice. Once with a random guy and I didn't go on another date, and once with you, and now we're getting married. So I actually don't have much experience in the dating world.
I don't think
It wasn't for me.
I don't think I've been on many first dates either.
I didn't enjoy my other first dates.
Go on, tell us about the other first date. Why didn't you enjoy it?
Well, for starters, it was at Bella Italia.
Whoa, that's good. Did he have a voucher?
Yep.
Hey, good lad.
But he didn't want to let me know that he had a voucher, and he was adamant that he was paying, and I was a bit like, we were students, and I was a bit like, well, you don't need to, because neither of us has any money.
Right.
But he was adamant that he was paying, but he didn't let me know that he had a voucher. So I ordered a margarita because I didn't want to take the mick and order something expensive.
And a margarita is the salt and vinegar of the pizza world. Actually, I'd say it's better than a salt and vinegar. There is room for a margarita every now and again.
Yeah, there is. You don't mean salt and vinegar. You
I mean ready salted. Fuck. Even my own insult hasn't worked then.
But basically, I went to the loo, and he tried to pay while I was away using said voucher, and I came back in the middle of it all, and he was then really bashful and embarrassed, but then had the cheek to then chat to all other friends and other acquaintances, people that we knew, and tell them I was really boring because I ordered a margarita.
The dick!
I know!
That's well rude! And you were doing it to be polite for the cheapskate.
So, yeah.
Right.
That was my only other first date, and it was a bit crap. And we really didn't have anything to talk about.
What did you talk about? Do you remember any of the conversation at all?
I remember it being highly, highly awkward. And yeah, I mean, we basically only went on a date because he asked me when I was very drunk at a ball.
Which is the most Oxford sentence in the world, by the way.
We'd kissed a couple of times over the past month. Drunk, very drunk. I was very drunk.
A drunken snog. A drunken snog.
Yeah, a couple of drunken snogs. So I think he just sort of thought that the gentlemanly thing to do would be to take me out to dinner.
But neither of you actually wanted to.
Neither of us wanted to. It wasn't that kind of thing.
Well, boring you.
Yeah,
More for him.
Now I'm boring.
What did he get?
Oh, I don't remember.
So his order was so unmemorable.
Yeah, his order was also unremarkable.
Yeah, I don't even think I've done. I genuinely don't think I've ever even had that experience, because I think we've got a very healthy thing in our relationship where we're quite comfortable talking about exes and previous dating experience and previous partners and whatever. I think some people find that weird. I think some people really really struggle to have those conversations, and I don't know where that comes from.
You have to accept that the person that you're with did things before they were with you.
You're not going to meet someone who's never kissed someone before or never whatever. It's a ridiculous... Anyway, the point is the reason I said that is because I was about to say my previous partner before you was a long-term relationship. And before then, I think I was too shy to actually ever ask anyone on a date. So I don't, and I was friends with my ex before we were going out. So I don't think I've ever actually.
You've never had an awkward first date dinner.
Which I'm sort of glad of, but it also means that I'm also quite a coward. I've never actually asked anyone to go on a date with me, which might have been the problem as well. So Except when I said to you when we were at the Creamy Inn, this is a date. Which, if you don't understand what that's all about, you have to go to the previous episode.
That was a proper backtrack, by the way, on the first date thing, because we were both just stood there with our ice cream in Zimbabwe, and we just decided that we would call it our first date.
Yeah, but I think that makes it a lot less awkward because we didn't know we were on a date.
Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting. Okay, so if I was your second first date, presumably I was your first ever meeting of a partner's parents.
Oh yeah.
So what was that like?
I was really nervous to meet your mum.
Yeah?
Just because I really wanted her to like me.
My mum is easy to
I think your mum was a little bit nervous to meet me as well.
I think everyone is always nervous to meet someone who could be a big part of their life all of a sudden.
Someone who's going to be in your life for a long time. It is really important. And I think, the saving grace was, like, me and your mum are both huggers. So we just kind of met at the doorway and just, like, had a really big hug. And then we were just like, well, this is fine. Straight
off the bat.
Yeah.
So you were nervous. When did you meet? I can't even remember when you met my family. I don't remember the scenario.
I went on the 3 or 4 hour bus from Oxford to Cambridge.
Oh wow!
And you came to pick me up from the bus stop.
Yeah.
And it was. I think I was basically just coming. I was coming to see you, but it was basically like, yeah, you're coming to stay for the weekend at my parents' house.
Okay.
And yeah, we just sort of sat down for dinner, and that was that really.
So what was it like meeting my dad for the first time?
Your dad's very quiet. He's only just, well no, I say only just, like, in the grand scheme of knowing him for about 5 years, in the past, it took probably about a year for us to sort of find where we were comfortable.
Do you think so? I think my dad, I don't think so. My dad was joking around with you, I think, right at the beginning.
Yeah, we were joking around, but like if it was just like the two of us, like, there wasn't a whole lot to discuss.
Yeah.
But we're very comfortable with each other now.
Yeah.
But it's always a bit weird, like, what do you talk about with your partner's parents?
Were you nervous about me meeting your family?
I wasn't nervous about you meeting my mum.
No?
No, because I know my mum, and my mum was well nervous to meet you.
Was she?
Yeah, and she was on, like, her best behaviour. So,
was she?
Yeah.
Why was she so nervous to meet me?
Well, I'd never brought a guy back.
So it was a big deal.
And also, I think she understands that, like, and I think that's why your mum was probably a bit nervous to meet me. Like, they're also meeting someone who they want to have a good relationship with.
Who they want to create a good impression of. That's the thing I think most people don't realise. That the good impression is trying to be created both ways.
Yeah, it's a two-way thing. No one wants that to be awkward for the rest, like, because, you know, yes, it could all fall apart like a month later, but also it could be the rest of your life. So
your parents are both remarried. So I actually met your dad before I met your mum. I was terrified about meeting your dad.
Yeah.
I think there's something about meeting the dad of your girlfriend.
Well, I think it's the other way as well. So it's like the girlfriend meeting the mum.
Yeah.
It's like
it's what's the classic awkward portrayal thing in rom-coms and stuff. And also, like, from what you told me about your dad, you sort of like warned me a bit about him. You were like, basically, he doesn't like people.
No.
You were like, it was the way you described him.
He's the same as me. We're not big socialites. Like I really struggle with, like, small talk. For example, I don't know if I meet someone, I don't know what to say. So I'm likely to say nothing.
So from the off, I'm meeting someone who you've told me doesn't like people, doesn't like new people. Well, that puts me off on the back foot already.
I shouldn't have told you that. Really.
It turned out that it was all fine, and the first meeting was great. But what I will say, the reason why I brought up the fact that your parents are separated is because the second time I met your dad was also the first time I met your mum. It was oh my god, again! It's happened again! Why
don't you stick it properly?
It is stuck properly, come on.
It's not, is it? Because it's fallen off twice.
I think it's stuck properly. I get
It's not.
That might be stuck properly.
Okay.
I'm keeping it all in. It's all part of the podcast. The reason I bring it up is because the second time I met your dad was also the first time I met your mum.
Yeah. And it was also my 21st birthday.
Both with partners.
Yeah.
And it was your birthday. And I feel like I remember you were unhappy. Well, you weren't unhappy, but you basically said that you don't really enjoy situations where both of your parents are there.
Anyone who has divorced parents and I will say I'm very fortunate that my parents, even though they're divorced, can be very, very civil in a room with each other.
Yeah, they were very polite. You'd never know that there was like that they were. Yeah, for while me and my sister were growing up, to be able to have them both in the room when we're doing concerts or like having 16th birthday parties and stuff, that was lovely. That was really, really lovely. But now I'm an adult, and I don't want you to ever have to be in the same room, because it's awkward for me, it's awkward for you, it's awkward for everyone. Let's just not. So do you think that as you got older, you sort of slowly realised that there was a tension there that you didn't notice as a child?
It's just that there's no need, is there? It's like we wouldn't go to dinner with your ex and her partner. Why would we?
No, we wouldn't.
Why would we? It's not normal. It's just not normal.
No.
Like, it's great that you can be civil. You might even go as far to say that you're still acquaintances, still friends.
Still friendly,
maybe.
yeah.
But you don't want to go for dinner with each other.
So imagine that, but now I'm meeting your mum for the first time, and the respective partners, and and that whole dynamic unfolds. It was a brutal experience, and I remember that there was a bit of a breakthrough in that particular trip, because I sort of learned how to sort of take the piss out of your dad a little bit. That's not the right word.
I don't know
for
if
it,
I'd call that a breakthrough either.
No, but like banter, like feel comfortable enough to do that. But I also remember that being able to like break the tension with a bit of laughter every now and again. But I also remember feeling very uncomfortable. But I don't, I mean, I've been there obviously several times since we've both been together, and I don't think that there's any tension. I think once again your worry about the situation made me more worried about it.
Yeah.
I think what I would really like to do in this podcast is get more interaction from the audience, so that we can then include those interactions in the podcast. So I was going to ask, if anyone who's listening now or watching or however you're viewing this, I think at the moment it's only on YouTube, but whoever's listening or watching this now, I would love to hear your first date stories or your first meeting of the parent stories, especially if there's any sort of awkwardness in it. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Did you ever have a dream meeting which went better than you thought it would, where you were prepared for it to go bad? We would really like to hear your first date stories, or your best or worst first dates. Yeah?
Mainly worst.
Best
is fine too.
It would be better if it's
I want to feel the awkward pain from you all.
I mean, it would be more entertaining for everyone if we're sitting here just going, we had a lovely date, he was a perfect gentleman, and there's nothing really else to add. It would be a bit boring. I suppose maybe we broaden it out then and say awkward or bad first impressions made on someone.
Yeah.
So it could be first date, it could be first day at work, it could be first time meeting parents, it could be first day at school. Awkward first impressions. That's maybe a bit of a broader subject.
You only get one chance to make a first impression.
Is there any time that you feel you've embarrassed yourself with a first impression?
Not really, no.
No?
I mean...
Something came to mind, go on. When you do a little laugh like that, you know that means that something has come to mind.
It's a really silly one, but when I was interviewing for university, whole day full of interviews, and I was at an interview at the college that I eventually got accepted to, and it was with the tutor that was going to be my tutor for the next 3 years. I didn't know that then. And basically, it's a bit of a silly one. She showed me a picture and said, like, what is in this picture? So I panicked because I don't know what it is.
Was it like a blot test? What was it?
No, it was actually a diagram of the organ that's inside your ear.
The cochlea.
Yeah. Now I was interviewing to study biomedical sciences. Yeah. And basically I went for that. I said, oh, it's a snail shell. This is at an Oxford interview, by the way.
How did you get in?
Snail shell, clearly. And then I looked up at her, and she kind of was like shaking her head, like, it's not. And then I was like, well, it looks like there might be lots of them. They might like tessellate. It might be like a type of cell. And I looked up again. She's still shaking her head. And I was like, right, okay. And then she started hinting, like, it was desperately awkward by this point, and she started hinting things like, oh, you know, when you have a cold and you might lose your balance, this might be why. And I was like, this is not helping at all.
How did you get in? How did you get in? What? This was your interview into Oxford?
Yeah, she ended up telling me that it was the cochlea, and we moved on from there, and it was fine. But
you must have absolutely nailed the rest of it.
Oh, God knows, honestly. This is where the imposter syndrome starts, though. Do you get that? So, and then obviously, first day at Oxford, you know, sitting down with my tutor, who's like my pastoral tutor and my academic tutor for the next 3 years, and there she is.
Sitting there going...
And she's looking at me going...
This is the girl.
Oh, we accepted you, did we?
This is the girl who thinks that fucking snails tessellate.
Snails live in your ears and they tessellate.
What do you even mean by that? What do you mean they're tessellating?
They fit together.
Bloody
you know
hell.
the word tessellate?
I know the word tessellate,
like
but I don't
squares
understand.
tessellate. So yeah, that was a bad first impression.
I remember reading like an autobiography by Stephen Fry. I didn't read it, I listened to it. When I worked at the Independent, for the first bit I still lived in Cambridge, and I had to commute the first part of my journey with my dad, and he'd listen to audiobooks, and he was listening to Stephen Fry's audiobook. And Stephen Fry is sort of famously quite witty and intelligent. And he was saying that he went to Oxford, and the entire time he was worried that people were going to find out that he shouldn't be there, or that he wasn't bright enough to be there, and that he was going to get kicked out.
He came and actually gave a talk at my college. I didn't get a chance to go, but yeah, he came and gave a talk at my college at Oxford, Stephen Fry.
About imposter syndrome?
I don't know, I didn't go. I don't know why I didn't go, I was probably hungover.
The reason I ask is because I was going to say, maybe this is about Oxbridge in general now, so Oxford and Cambridge. Most of the people I've spoken to felt some sort of imposter syndrome there.
Yeah, absolutely. You just, like, these institutions are so built up to you. Like, it starts when you're like 15 or 16, you're doing your GCSEs, and people start talking about, like, if you want any chance of going to Oxford, you need to have at least 10 A stars, and you're like, right, okay, here we go. And you get through your GCSEs, and then it just ramps up and up. And
did you get 10 A stars?
I got 11. So, yeah.
Right, well, we know who's the thick one in this relationship. Carry on. The one who knows what a cochlea is, by the way.
I also got 1A in Spanish.
Not that you like to bring that one up.
I'm not good at languages.
Hang on, so 11 GCSEs is the norm, isn't it? So you did an extra GCSE?
Yeah.
Right, what was that?
I have 12 and a half GCSEs, actually. I did music off timetable, and I did a half IT.
I did a half one. I've got half PE under my belt. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so it just gets ramped up and up and up, and you know, all the goal is just you getting into Oxford or Cambridge. Doesn't matter which one. Doesn't really matter what subject for, and you get trained and trained and trained, and it's just so high pressure. And then you get there, you've got in. It's this insane thing. You get a letter, and then you get your results, and you're confirmed that you're going to Oxford or Cambridge, and no one even discusses what it's going to be like when you get there. That it's actually going to be really hard work, and no one's going to help you. You got to figure it out yourself. You got to suddenly start reading these gigantic textbooks, using online journals, and no one's ever spoken about that. All that's been spoken about is that you got to try and get in. So you feel like you've won, and then you get there, and you're with a load of other absolute geniuses, by the way, like proper geniuses, and you've got in there, and you're like, well, no one told me it'd be hard work. You told me I was a genius if I got in, and now I'm here with all these other geniuses, and turns out I'm not a genius. And it's really hard, and I don't know what I'm doing.
I think, well, first of all, that sort of reminded me when I moved from North London to Cambridge. The school I moved to in Cambridge was evidently a lot better because I went from the top of the class to not the bottom of the class, but mid to low.
That's rough as a kid.
Which is rough as a kid. But I think that this imposter syndrome just happens everywhere all the time in all walks of life. And I don't think people actually sort of appreciate that everyone's feeling it. Like, you've started a new job, and you've basically been saying to me, like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
No.
I've not in the case of you're feeling like you're doing something badly, but you're just not entirely sure what you're meant to be doing, because it seems like not a lot of people seem to know. But you're part of like a WhatsApp group for a cohort of people that have joined this job recently, and it turns out that everyone is feeling that way. Yeah,
which is really nice to know that like, everyone's trying their hardest, but we're all a little bit lost. And it's really nice to know that you're part of a group of people. I mean, usually with this scheme that I'm on, I would have met all of these people by now, face to face. We would have spent the weekend together on our induction weekend, but we haven't had that. So at least we've got this WhatsApp group, but it still feels quite lonely,
But I think my point there, I think, is it's quite nice to know that everyone is doing that. There's people turning up to new jobs. There's people that have been in jobs for a year, and they're sitting there going,
I still don't know what
I think I'm doing this right.
That's the thing, because when you're younger and you might get like a Saturday job or whatever, that job is usually something like tills or stacking shelves or in a coffee shop or a clothes shop, and it's really clear what you're supposed to be doing.
It's very straightforward.
I worked in the mail room for Betty's, and it was really clear. I got the labels and I stuck them on the parcels.
Yeah.
And I was really good at it. But now no one's saying that there's just this thing that you do every day. You just have to figure out what you do every day.
I think that's a great way of looking at it, in that you are told what to do at one point.
Yeah.
Like, your early jobs are like, I worked in Morrison's as one of my first jobs, and it's very much like, put this food on that shelf.
Yeah.
When you finish that, come and get this food and put it on that shelf.
Yeah.
And then when you get older, you turn up to a job and you're like, I feel like I oversold myself in the interview because I don't know really what I'm supposed to be doing here. But I think that's the case all the time. I'm part of, like, to bring it back to sort of YouTube, I'm part of a group of like small YouTubers. We've got like a little Discord chat going on, and I sometimes watch other people's videos and I think, like, their video's so good, they've really figured it out. But then they say the same to me, and what you realise, YouTube is a perfect example of this actually, is that no one has a clue what they're doing.
No.
Like, everyone's just sort of like fumbling their way through, trying to figure it all out. And anyone who sort of gives you advice, sometimes you've got to think, why are they giving you that advice? What, and what qualifies them to give you that advice sometimes?
Yeah.
I've had advice from people on how I should do things as well on YouTube. This has gone off on a random tangent, sorry. But I've had advice on how I should do things on YouTube. And I've not agreed with that advice either. So you've got, when do you think you realise? Because when I was a kid, I always thought my parents knew everything.
Yeah.
And when my parents were my age, they had 4 children.
Yeah.
4. Granted, they started quite young. They had me when they were 24. But even so, when they were my age, they had 4 children. So I always looked at my parents as people who knew the answers to everything.
Yeah.
And I thought that there was just a day. No, I didn't think there was just a day, but I just assumed that there was a point in time where you felt grown up.
Yeah.
And I actually asked my dad once when I was younger, when did you feel like a grown-up? Which is an odd question, isn't it? But I did ask it. And he said, I don't think you ever feel like a grown-up. And I didn't understand what that meant. But now that I'm in my 30s, I'm sitting here going, I get it.
Yeah.
Because when my parents were my age, I assumed they knew the answer to anything. I assumed I could ask them a question and they'd be able to tell me the definitive answer. And I know now that if a kid asks me a question, why is the sky blue? I'm just going to go, oh, right, so space.
Oh, you're starting far out there.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When do you think you realised that actually your parents didn't know everything? When did you realise that actually everyone is just sort of... When do you think you realise that everyone is just sort of bullshitting it, and just the people that do best are the people that do it with the most confidence?
I don't know really.
There doesn't need to be a set point. I put you on the spot there.
I think I like to think I feel like I'm a grown-up and I have the answers. I think I'm quite good at blagging it.
Yeah.
Especially at like work, especially, you know, sometimes with friends and family. Like I feel like a lot of people look at me and actually think that I've got it together and I'm quite an adult and I have answers to things.
But you don't think you've got it together?
No, not necessarily. I do sometimes. But I think it almost helps. Like there is a lot of truth in that saying, fake it till you make it. It makes you feel like you're doing quite well to be faking it.
So you think it's just a good idea to speak with authority?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good idea to... Although, if you speak with too much authority, people will start to believe everything you say, and that's dangerous territory to be in.
Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Have you ever... Do you find that happens a lot then? That people just like hang off your every word and you're just like, you shouldn't?
Yeah, there have been a couple of people that I've sort of come across in my life who just take everything I say to be true. And it's like, stop. I don't know why you think that.
Trust me, I know her quite well. She's a bullshitter. She knows fuck all.
I know. I know fuck all.
Although you're doing a very good job of talking, doing a podcast whilst driving.
I'm a woman. I can multitask.
Is that what this is? Is this a feminist moment where you're going?
It's actually not. No one can multitask, not even women. It's not a thing. You'll just do two things badly. Not saying that I'm driving badly or talking badly.
Yeah, I was about to say, which one of these two things are you doing badly right now?
I don't know. You can be the judge of that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a trap.
A well-laid trap.
A well-laid trap. Oh, well, do you know what? I think we're going to wrap this up soon, because we're getting towards the end of the journey. We're getting towards some fiddly bits. What do you think about being a full-time co-host of a podcast? Did you ever see yourself doing podcasts?
No, I didn't. But I've been enjoying quite a lot of podcasts recently. I really do see the value in them. Though it's almost like, you know, like an audiobook. It's almost like that, but it's a bit easier to take because it's a proper conversation rather than someone reading a book to you. So yeah, I mean, I'm on board with podcasting.
But are you on board with being what is it like being the partner of someone who drags you into these things? Because I have dragged you into podcasts, I've dragged you into streams, I've dragged you into videos, I've made you do challenges during videos. What's that like?
It's very interesting for me. The podcast is the thing I have the most sort of affinity with. Like I really enjoy the podcasts. I mean, I enjoy talking to you, and it's quite amusing to me that other people enjoy listening to us. But the streaming and the videos, because I don't watch any streamers, I don't really get it. I don't watch YouTube. The only thing I watch on YouTube is like your classic cats and fails. Like
cats and fails.
You know, I'm essentially a grandma.
The two key pillars of YouTube.
Two key pillars of YouTube. Like so those things I don't really get. So I definitely don't mind being involved with them, but like I say, I've got the most affinity with the podcast because I see a lot of value in podcasts.
So in that case, this is what I want the audience to do then. Mm-hmm. So this is a rebrand of the podcast officially from now. Yeah. It's not always going to be in a car. This was a bit of a we thought this would be a fun idea, didn't we? Well,
it might still have been a fun idea. We don't know what it's going to sound like. That's
the camera has fallen down twice.
And not because of my bad driving, might I add.
We have driven through all of the different weathers. It was raining earlier. There was a bit of snow at one point.
Yeah.
It is now clear. Well, not clear skies, but it's now kind of sunny.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's the safest, most sensible thing. Do you know what it made me? I also don't know how it's going to sound.
Yeah.
But you know what made me think about doing it was that, like, if you see like carpool karaoke's and that sort of thing, or videos where people like drive and talk in the car, it always feels like far more casual. So I wanted to see like how this came across. Did it come across as casual, sort of unplanned, unscripted, off the cuff? Because that's how.
I think definitely unplanned and unscripted.
I mean, we didn't plan for the camera to.
We've wound around different conversations. I've really enjoyed myself. So.
Yeah, this has very much been the rebrand podcast, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So Are we going to go with You Again?
I think You Again.
You Again. Is that a catchy name for a podcast? The You Again podcast. You Again podcast?
Yeah.
No, it's Yup. Yup.
Yup.
I quite like that. Yup. Welcome back to Yap. Welcome to Yap. No, I like it.
Yeah,
What do you
I like
think?
it. I
Right,
like it.
okay. Do you not like the new?
Don't ask them that, because if they say no, we have to come up with another name.
That's true, actually.
I don't care what you think. It's called You Again.
All we want you to do in the comments is just nothing but enthusiasm for the new name.
I want pure praise, otherwise I'll leave.
Yeah, if you don't write lovely things, I don't know what will happen.
No.
Because we won't know who's watched if they've not left a lovely comment.
Yeah. Please do comment.
Please do. Yes, please do comment. What we would like to do now is really build some interaction in. I would love to hear stories from you. I'd love to hear comments from you. Talking points, things you'd like us to talk about on the podcast, or suggestions. You know, we've talked about awkward first impressions today. But, you know, we'd like to hear from you your awkward first impressions or your awkward first stories. But I would also quite like to hear like subjects that you'd like to hear, and you know, what things you'd like us to talk about, and where would you like this podcast to go, because you're just as much part of this journey as we are. And on that note, we are pretty much at the end, at the actual physical end of this journey. So thank you very much. This was the Purple Pig podcast. It's now the You Again podcast. Once again, if you want to listen to these podcasts a week early, 10 days early, you can do so by going over to my Patreon. Yeah, anything you want to say?
Not really. You ask me that at the end of every podcast. I never have anything to say.
Come on, say something.
At that moment, my brain just goes,
Say something.
yarp.
Yarp.